On your marks, get
I see it.
set, and go. We are live on Facebook, everyone. I'm so excited to be here. It is WSA TV. I'm Laura Rubenstein with the Women's Speakers Association's WSA TV premiere show. You can see I have a bunch of experts waiting to talk to you about what? Achieving a fulfilling life and your fulfilling life, and whether you're in business and you're wanting more fulfillment, or you're in a personal relationship challenging situation or domestic challenge, or you're just wondering, everything looks okay, but I don't feel fulfilling. We're going to talk about all of that today. But first, I want to introduce you to our experts. So, welcome, Davisha.
Hello, I'm Davisha Fredericks. I live in Indianapolis, Indiana, and I am an author, a speaker, and an entrepreneur. And my company is called Susu Global, and you can find that at www.susuglobal.com. And I'm also on social media, Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram.
Thank you so much. Great to have you. And hi, Janice.
Thank you.
Hello, I'm Janice Doherty, and I am in Calgary, Alberta, Canada. And I call myself an internal communication specialist for women as I'm speaking. And my website is herwithin.com.
Beautiful. Great to have you. And hi, Shantae.
Hello, Laura. I'm Shantae Jennings. My business is virtualpartnersplus.com, and I'm located in Rio Rancho, New Mexico.
Great. Glad to have you. And what is your business title?
Oh, a virtual assistance company.
Great. Oh, this is awesome. And Chella, hi.
Hello, my name is Chella, coming to you from Orange County. And I am an author, a speaker, and I host Transcend Abundance workshops. You can find me on Instagram and Facebook, Transcend Abundance. And it's a pleasure to be here today.
It's great to have you here, all of you, because all of you have such wisdom to share with us about what it takes and how we can take the next step towards having a fulfilling life. And Davisha, you're someone who has a really interesting expertise area. So why don't you talk from your point of view of how people can get to where they are to achieve more fulfillment?
Okay, yes, absolutely. So as a domestic violence survivor, I had trauma and abuse for 10 years. And so finding myself was the part that had to get me to the next step. And in order to find myself, I have to go through self-care, self-awareness, self-worth, confidence. And so taking those steps are big steps because you really need to take the time to say, I need help. That's number one. Admitting that you need help, not being shameful, and not being afraid. And it's again, a huge step to take after you've come out of trauma.
Oh, how does someone get the courage to do that, Davisha?
So the courage it really comes within yourself. I prayed a lot, but it does come within yourself. You're going to have to go out there and do the work. And you have to really look and for me, I did like a lot of affirmations. I did a lot of self-motivation, putting post-it notes on my mirror, looking in the mirror and telling myself I'm enough, telling myself that I can do it, telling myself that anything that I thought that made me happy, that's what I did to get to the next step. So just starting with those small things as affirmations, like I said, that self-care, journaling, meditating, taking a walk around the block, taking 5 minutes and saying, I'm not doing social media, I'm not doing family, I'm not doing friends. That is exactly what you need to do to get, and then 5 minutes becomes 10 minutes, then 10 minutes becomes 15, because once you get the self-care and you understand it, your body starts changing and it needs more of it. So you're like, okay, I need to do something else, and I need to do something else. So I'm a huge advocate for, if you're going to take that first step, take it with self-care and be aware of what's going on with your body.
What a good reminder, and really important for those who have not even thought to do that. So thank you for the wisdom, and thank you for the abundance of ideas of where to start with that self-care. So
absolutely.
I'd love to go over to Janice, and from what you specialize in, Janice, where would you tell people to start for getting to that sense of fulfillment in their life?
Well, I have to completely agree with Davisha, because that as we age, life layers get between us and our soul. I call it my her. I gave it I personified it because it's easier to connect with. And when those life layers get in between us and her, it's harder to make that connection with ourself. And that's when we have to start doing the self-care again. And the first step that I go through with people is the first step is find her. And it's, imagine standing in an airport with a sign that just says her. You have no idea who it is you're looking for, where they're coming from, nothing. And once we can connect with her, then we start applying the self-care, and we start applying boundaries, and we start applying, we understand how we trust and how we resist, and stillness, and taking that time to go within. All of those things put together help you reconnect with that woman within that a lot of us lose our connection with. And when we lose that connection, we start to feel unfulfilled and unsatisfied and lost. So if we can back that up and take away some of those layers, then we can find her and we can reconnect and start to feel fulfilled again.
So we're going to find her and then connect to her, and we're going to take care of her with lots of self-care, like Davisha says as well.
Mm-hmm.
And Shantae, now we've done a lot of that and we have business to deal with. How do we achieve fulfillment there?
Well, most people go into becoming an entrepreneur for time freedom. They want that. They yearn for that, but yet they don't have it because they're doing everything. Solopreneurs wear all the hats. They have to create some systems so that they have a structure. They don't have to spend so much time doing those chores that they normally have to do themselves. And they can learn how to automate by having that system.
Fabulous. And is there any processes you recommend or tools you recommend to help them do that?
Well, we created a system. It's normally just systemizing your business, but we use the system of ADD, which is automating your system after you systemize, because you'll be able to see where you don't need to be touching it. It doesn't need human interaction. Automate that. Delegate the remaining chores that don't need your superpower. They can be done by anybody. And then delegate, and then you delete, because these are things that just don't need to take up space in your life at all, and they don't contribute to your business.
And is there any systems you could recommend for automation as well?
Oh, from payment systems to scheduling, start with a client onboarding system. How you receive your clients, their experience can be, parts of that can be automated easily, but they don't take away from your interaction with them.
Nice. Yeah. In fact, it probably makes you look even better if you're systemizing, you have a process you're taking them through, and they're like, oh, you're taking care of me. Like it's not ad hoc. It's really well thought out.
It's structured and it's a process, and nothing falls through the cracks. You're not answering calls at 10 o'clock at night because everything's done. There's a system and parts of it are automated. So everybody's taken care of.
Nice. That feels so much better, to feel like, oh, and Shantae, if you could help us, that's better. The whole thing about delegating, letting go and trusting and to delegate, there's a whole issue there. Where can entrepreneurs or solopreneurs start to delegate, like to let go a little bit? How do you see that happen?
I see that once they have systems in place, it usually becomes easier because you can see actually, where do I need to touch? Where am I spending my time? And they'll look at those other activities as non-income producing activities. Right. And they definitely don't want to spend a lot of time there.
Beautiful. Well, thank you. I'd like to go over to Chela now. And Chela, tell us about, I know you do a lot of work, and you have a 5-step process for finances, because if we're not feeling fulfilled in finances, there's a big weight on our shoulders. Can you address that?
Absolutely. And actually, this is such a perfect fit, ladies, because to me, step number 1 is looking inside, looking to see what that money conversation you're carrying around that you don't know you're carrying around. And because I believe in added value, I will invite you to think about what was that first money conversation you remember adults having? You were a little kid, maybe you're watching TV, you were eating cereal. What was that money conversation the adults were having? And how did that conversation affect what you do today? Again, it's about what Janice and Davisha said. It's about uncovering what we're carrying that we don't know we're carrying. So I invite our listeners, if you're watching this, what was that money conversation? The first step is becoming aware of that.
Is there any other steps you want to take us through?
Absolutely. So I'll go ahead and get that. That's actually a bonus step, is what was that money conversation? But the first step that really is really going to help you is keep track of how you're spending your money. Anytime you spend over $1, write it down. You don't judge it, you don't analyze it, you simply write it down. If you do this for 7 days, you're going to discover where your money is going. Ultimately, you want to do this for 4 weeks, but do this for 7 days. Just keep track of where your money is going. At the end of the 7 days, make it 2 lists. How much did you spend on wants and how much did you spend on needs? So that is step 1, folks. And if you do this, I guarantee your financial life will change, will shift.
Wow. And then why will it change, or what should they do from there?
See, Laura wants to give you step number 2, which is fabulous. So step number 2 will be, and the reason it will change is because you're going to find where your money is going. Step number 2 is making a list of your monthly obligations. So between list number 1 and step number 2, you're going to be able to find where is your money going and where are you choosing to make other choices. And when you know where you're making your choices, that's when things begin to happen. Things begin to blossom because you are aware of where your money is going and how you're choosing to spend your money. So step 1 and 2, folks, stick around for step 3.
Go for it. Do you want to give us a step 3?
Okay, so step 3, yes. What financial goals do you want to accomplish within the next 3 months? Because now that you've done the step 1 for 4 weeks, step 2, you have your list. Now, where are you choosing to put your money? What a financial goal do you want to accomplish within the next 90 days? 3 months, just very short 3 months. And that's magical because now you know where you're going to be able to make other choices, other differences. Where can you take the money from and put it into this financial goal you want to accomplish? Step 3, that's it, folks. That's a 3-step process.
That's great, because now you're going to start being really conscious. And I can imagine people feeling like, "Ooh, I don't want to do this." And it probably goes back to a self-worth thing. Like I'm not good enough. I'm not good at numbers, or I don't want to look at that because it means something about me. So we go back to the advice that Davisha and Janice gave us to like kind of do that self-care nurturing, like, and you also said that the beginning is take care of yourself first, understand you're worthy of having this abundance, and then take on, your steps here for taking a look. Just look at it, and it's not that scary. Is that what you're saying, Chella? It's really not that scary. Okay.
Exactly. I could not have done better myself, Laura.
Okay.
Thank you.
Fabulous. Well, all of you have really put together a really wonderful process for achieving a fulfilling life. And it's got to start with that foundational work, but you also need the systems for your business in place. And even if you run a household, great, have the systems. Shantae, I bet you would agree. You want systems to run your household just like you run a business. And Chella, then you definitely want to know where your money goes and how to create more by being more in touch with it and knowing what your choices are. And when you know what your choices are and how much money you have, oh my gosh, freedom, right? Freedom, fulfillment is here. You all are the gurus. So I want to know a little bit more about you. Like, who do you work with and what do you do? What are you passionate about doing with people? Because you obviously have done this. So let's go back to our Davisha. Hi, Davisha.
Hi.
Tell us about you.
Yes. So I actually, like I said, I'm an author. I wrote a book about my personal memoir. It's a memoir about my personal story. So I wrote that book to raise awareness of domestic violence, and also to let people know that they've never been in domestic violence. What they think it is not just physical, it's emotional, it's financial, it's spiritual. It's like so many different levels. So I'm very, very passionate to help women overcome domestic violence and find their purpose in life. Because once you go through domestic violence, there's so much trauma, there's so many layers, there's so many things that goes on, and you have to really kind of pick the pieces up and try to get yourself back going. And sometimes it takes years of recovery to do that. Sometimes the transformation is a short period of time. But having women, like, I really am passionate about supporting them, because when you're in domestic violence, you do not have a support system because your abuser probably has taken everything from you, your family, you've isolated yourself from them and friends. So I try to be that non-judgmental person that comes in and say, hey, I've been through this. What can I do to help you? What do you need? What's important right now? What resources do you need? Let me help you, because I can get you the resources. If I can't, I'm going to find someone else to help you, because this is important. This is your life. And it's not always going to be bad. You know,
and do you have
this.
Can I ask you for a story about how you helped someone through that?
Oh, yeah. So the story that I would like to share is at one of my support groups that I host. A lady came with a friend. And so these ladies were sharing and pouring out their heart, what they're going through for the week, what's going on with their children, what they're feeling. And I'm sharing what I've been through with my kids, because now my kids are older. Most of their kids are school-age kids. And so the lady that came actually broke down and was like, I've never told anyone this. The lady that she came with, she was coming with her for support. And she said, I never told anybody, but I've been in this relationship for all this time. How can you help me? Because, well, she was out of the relationship the day that she came, but she was like, the lady that was with her, she's like, I've known her for 16 years and I didn't even know that this was going on, this had happened. And so, you know, they're bonding and they're supporting each other. And she's like, I need to get over the panic attacks. I need to get over the anxiety, the depression, the alcoholism, the drugs. Like, I have all these things and I don't know what to do with them. Like, I'm hurting. And I'm like, okay, this is what support groups is for, you know. And I just started talking to her, and I started talking to everybody. I'm like, you don't have to be stuck in this spot. Like, panic attacks, it's going to happen because you're having a separation anxiety. And, you know, just explaining to them what's going on, why it's happening, why you're having the panic attacks and you're not in this relationship anymore, you know, why you're feeling the PTSD, and just explaining to them the levels of trauma and letting them know the best thing for you to do is go and talk to someone about this. Like, you definitely should talk to someone about it. You need to go to counseling. I advise it for everybody. You don't have to be through trauma. Like, everybody needs counseling. Like, we all need a little bit of mental health. Like, the world is really crazy right now. So, like, and so that story, I mean, it really touched my heart, because I saw a lady that I never knew. And here's her friend that knew her for all this time, didn't even know. And she was able to open up, and she felt in a safe place to tell.
Beautiful. Wow.
What she went through.
Thank you for that beautiful work and the results
absolutely.
you're helping women achieve, especially those who are, you know, so traumatized even after the fact. So beautiful. Great. So now I want to move to Janice and find out a little bit about you. Who do you work with and what do you do with them?
I work with mature women, so between 45 and 60, and that's when we start. The best way to describe it, that's when we're lying in bed and we've got these questions going through our head going, is this all there is? Is this what I'm supposed to be doing? Why am I so unhappy when I look in the mirror? Even to the point of, if he snores one more time, the pillow's going over his face. And we're just not happy. We're not fulfilled. We're not satisfied. And we don't know why. I experienced it myself 3 years ago when my mom passed away, and I thought, where am I? What am I doing? Where am I supposed to be going? So I started to pull together what I experienced and what I had gone through. And then I started to talk to people and found out that there are so many women out there. We just don't talk about it. It's like that word menopause. We used to never say that word. Now you hear it all over the place. But there's that, when you're lost, you don't know where to turn. So when I created my first program, Find Her, I take them through all of the steps to literally to find her again, to make that reconnection. And I tell people, once you find her, then you need to trust her, and then you love her, and that her is our, it's our soul, it's who we are inside, and it's made up of all of the things like Davisha was talking about earlier: the self-love, the self-care, the self-confidence, our passions, our character. All of those things are put together. And then when the walls start to come up and we start to lose that connection, we lose our self-worth, we lose our passion, we lose all those things. We forget that we love to paint, we forget that we love to blow bubbles. So all of those things, when we find her, we find those things again, and life just starts to look completely different.
Hmm.
And I have done 180-degree turn in the past 3 years, and I am so happy where I am right now. And I just want to grab all the women and bring them with me, because it's just such a happy place to be.
I love your story that you've turned it around and you're giving people hope and possibility of a 30-second story you could share with us about someone you worked with.
Well, my favorite one was, I was doing a talk here in Calgary, and I love when I'm talking and I'm just looking around and all I see is this. People are nodding their heads and women are starting to smile. It's like, and then the awareness, like, oh, that's happening to me. I had a lady come up to me at the end of one of my talks, and they're like 20-minute, like a TED talk. And she walked up to me and she goes, I'm 70, and I just want to know where you were 20 years ago. You could have saved me a lot of time. And it's that just, I never worked with her. I just talked, but she covered exactly what I want to save for when I want to save them the time of going through all the years of trying to figure this out on their own.
Absolutely. Well, thank you for that precious work and saving women now time, precious time. That's great. And let's go over to Shantae. And Shantae, tell us about your work. Who do you work with? What do you love doing with them?
I work with women speakers and coaches in the business or health and wellness industry. And I love working with them because most of them come to me, they're doing great, but they have no time. They're not as happy as they thought they would be owning their own business. And I feel like these women help other people transform. I want to help them transform in their business. And they want time freedom. So that's what we work on, getting them time freedom by systemizing and creating ways for them to pull back from the tasks they don't need to be involved in.
Now, who doesn't need that? I mean, it's great. Every solopreneur can relate to what you're saying. And how did you get into this? Tell us your story.
Ooh, well, I was in a military where everything is systems. It's everything has a structure. We follow it to the letter, but it makes it so much easier. We could make things happen without you don't have to focus on anything. Things just happen. You don't have to think about it. We waste so much time thinking about things that we have to do over and over again, but we have no process. It's something simple like, how do I send an invoice? Because I did it yesterday, but I don't remember. Did I skip the billing date? Did I, send it by electronic? Or having a system like that helped us. Everything happened. 1, 2, 3. If an event happened, we really didn't have a lot of time to think about it. We didn't have to because we already knew what was going to be done because we had this system. We called it a standard operating procedure. Everybody did everything the same way. And I felt like these solopreneurs all need the same thing. When something happens in their business, they need to be able to just make it happen. It's going because they already know what's supposed to happen, and it always happens the same exact way every time. So I thought it would be beneficial.
Yeah, way to take your skills and make them benefit so many more people and have them have more fulfillment because of that and show them the light. And speaking about light, so Chella, let's go over to you and talk to you tell us about who you work with and what you do for them.
I work with women in the the awakened men. So I do have a few clients that are men, but I believe there's enough systems out there for men. So my primary will be to work with women, and then really helping them and allowing them that space, not to make themselves wrong about where they are today, about using compassion. This is where you are today. This is your first day of the rest of your financial journey, and being okay with whatever mistakes you've done in the past. So there's a lot of compassion, forgiveness, allowing them to feel safe where they are and not judge themselves. It's getting back to that little girl that was having fun, really shining your light. So it's really walking them through this, 5-step process and allowing them to be, and just really be happy with whatever they are. It doesn't matter where you are, as long as there's joy there, we can make everything else happen. And of course, once there's joy, guess what? Money is going to follow, no matter where you are. So that's really exciting to watch them go through the process and watch when the light goes on for them. You know what I mean? It's like, I can do it. You know what I mean? They can accomplish it no matter what they are, no matter where they want to get to. It's just watching them accomplish their financial goals is just magnificent.
So do you have a story about how you helped someone?
One of my favorites is a housewife. And she did one of my workshops, and she wanted to save $5,000 in 3 years to give to her daughter. So she used the 5-step process and a couple of bonuses, but she was so delighted in housewife, folks, housewife. In 4 months, she was able to save $3,000. She was beyond excited because, just because once you know where your money is going, you can choose to put it somewhere else. How many times have we gone to the bank and we take out the, 20 or 40 or 60, and then it's gone. But when you're keeping track of it and you know exactly where it's going, then you can choose other places where that money can go. So that was very exciting. She was in tears because she didn't know that she was going to be able to accomplish it in such a short time. So she's definitely one of my favorites that touched my heart because she just followed. She did what the 4 weeks, and she was able to accomplish her goal. So she's one of my favorites.
Yes, way to help people fulfill their abundance goals. That's great. So fulfillment, whether you want it financially, you want it personally, you want to feel less stressed, you want to feel more connected to what's going on in life, you want to get over some trauma, it is all possible. And our experts here today have shared that. I hope you'll go back and watch this if you joined us late or you're watching the replay. Thank you for being here. But I have one last question for each of you. We're here because of Women Speakers Association, and each of you do some speaking. And I want to know, what results have you received already, or are the value you're getting from being a part of Women Speakers Association? And Devisha, let's go back over to you for this.
Yeah, so the results is having interviews, but what I really want to do is do more speaking engagements because I believe that talking about domestic violence is very, very important. People do not want to talk about it, and it's necessary to talk about.
And this is what
I want to do.
This is a great place. Yes. So if you want to do what Devisha wants, is to get the message out, talk about things that people aren't talking about, at least in the way you're talking about it. It's very powerful. We have support and resources for you here at Women Speakers Association. You just have to go to joinwsa.com and do what Devisha did and sign up, and we'll hook you up. So Janice, also, why don't you tell us what value you're receiving from Women Speakers Association?
Well, I was looking for a community, like a global community of speakers. And I wanted something larger than what I had locally. So I got in touch with Women's Speaker Association just as the free membership. And then I learned about all the extras, all the amazing resources that are available by going into a premium membership. And I have been able to put together the basis I need for my speaker package, and I'm learning about the contracts and all the nitty gritty that scares a speaker to death when you're standing on this side of it going, I don't know what to do. I feel more confident now in what I'm doing, how I do it, and I'm I'm taking that little step out of the cave a little bit more every day. But I know I've got the resources behind me that I need in order to keep me from like falling off the cliff.
Yep. We've got a ton of resources. We've got ways to help support you. We've got community, like you said. So thank you for joining us. And Shantae, tell us about why you joined and what value you're receiving from Women Speakers Association.
I initially joined to look to see if there are resources for my clients that I could use for the free version. But then as I started to think about becoming a speaker myself, I thought it would be good to check out the resources. And there are quite a few, especially for a person that's, I've been a trainer and spoke for my job, but not for my business. So I feel like I'm learning different, things. I use different tools. So I've been able to, I've been surprised. There's quite a few resources. I love mind movies, and the fact that we have a connection to that, I would have joined just for that alone.
Yeah.
So.
It's so worth it. Yes, the mind movies you get with your membership. It's exactly what Chelilyn, along the lines of what you were saying, is like kind of you got to know what you want, right? So mind movies allows you to do that, and that is a bonus that comes with the premier membership. So thanks for bringing that up. Awesome, Chella. Tell us about what you love about Women Speakers Association.
Well, I had been looking for the first quarter. My goal was to join a speakers association. So I did a lot of homework and I checked out a lot of places. And when I first saw what WSA had to offer, I thought, it sounds a little too good to be true. And lo and behold, that same week, Laura sent me an invitation to a live event. So I thought, okay, it's a little far away, but I made the drive and I went and I joined on the spot because just having the support, right? There's one thing to see it in writing, but when you actually get to meet the people and how supportive they are and how they're just there to help each other, I really didn't see competition. I was like, how can we collaborate? How can we join? And if you see, check out the website, the list of things that they offer and the training videos that they have. So I went in as a skeptic to check it out. And I came out and signed up on the spot because it is a supportive system and they are truly there to help you. And also just being able to speak. So supportive, and the fact that we're helping women are uplifting each other. So that was very important to me because I work with women, and being part of an organization that helps each other get each other to the next level is important to me. So I'm delighted. And thank you for the invite, Laura.
You're welcome. Wow. Well, this is what Women Speakers Association is all about. It's about that community, that connection, that support and collaboration. And so if you're interested, if you're watching today, be sure to check out joinwsa.com and do what these women have done. Check out the premier level because that's where the support and the resources really are. We do have a speaker success plan if you want to just put your toe in the water and join us there. But otherwise, we will see you next week with another episode. We have a very special episode coming up for the Silver Lining of Cancer authors. We're going to be presenting them, and they're all WSA Premier members. So that's going to be our premier show next week. Thank you, ladies. We'll be back with you next week. Bye for now.